The music video industry can be divided into pre-MTV and post-MTV periods. The modern music videos that we now know came into existence when MTV was launched in 1981. Video Killed the Radio Star was the very first music video which was broadcasted on MTV. Quite fitting considering video did kill the radio star, and then social media killed the video star. MTV marked generations, it set trends, and gave us new ways of enjoying music. It also helped launch some of the music industry's biggest names. Music videos continue to play an important role in the music industry, even as the medium evolves to meet the changing needs of consumers and artists. We still believe in them, and we have thoroughly enjoyed diving deeper into this art form. This is a behind-the-scenes look of the making of Who I Am and Omen.
Born to this land.
Hi, I'm Chelsea June.
And I'm Yai.
And we are Twin Flames. We're so excited to be joined by our very amazing friend here today.
Hi, I'm Alain, and I was the director for 2 of the music videos from Twin Flames recently. I think it was an amazing experience, which we'll talk to you about as we go along here. I think actually I always put the list of videos that I've done, and I think this was number 92 of the music videos that I've done, 92 and 93.
Wow.
So I started way back in the 80s, in the early 80s, when videos were just starting to happen. And I was working at CBC, and they asked me to do a music show for a French-Canadian artist. And I said, sure, but can I do a music video outside of it and bring it in as part of the show? And he said, yeah, sure. And we got to shoot it on film. So from that, that won an award in Alberta, my very first music video. And I was up against Jeff Weinrich, who did Jan Arden videos and Rolling Stones and Van Halen. Music videos were starting to really take off. And around Edmonton, where I was based, bands were clamoring for people that did music videos. And I don't think there were any others that were doing videos at that time in Edmonton. So I put my love of editing and directing, which I was doing at CBC, and music video and music, which I was always passionate about. I did a radio show on a university radio station, and before that I managed a record store, so it was always in my bloodstream. And so I just combined my love of film and music and just carried on that way. Over the years, of course, in Alberta, there was CMT, which gave out grants, and so I ended up doing a lot of country music videos. But after that, I got to experiment a lot more with alternative and jazz and a whole bunch of different genres of music. And so from then, it moved on to long concert videos and commercials, and short form, was mostly what I liked to do. So we met for a Heritage Canada project, and it was great. We went on from there.
Because we hear so much today about how Spotify and all of these online streaming platforms and YouTube or TikTok, it's kind of killed the art of music videos and people having the attention span to watch an entire music video. But you got to be in the industry when MTV, Much Music, CMT, that was the time for the
that
music
was
videos.
It was so powerful, and people had budgets, and it was 35 millimeter film, and things were rolling, and there was always a buzz, and the Much Music Video Awards, and I kind of grew up with that stuff.
Yeah.
Actually reality TV sort of came in and took over the MTV and Much Music. And so, videos sort of went away for a while, but they're coming back in a nice big way now. Well, first of all, it took a while to get it organized, right? We spent a lot of time trying to find locations, and it all of a sudden came that we had to do this now, because the weather was changing. October was very, iffy as far as what we could get temperature wise, but we lucked out. I think we had the last 4 really nice days of October, You know,
the hours of like random phone calls with you and I, like, where are you today, Alain? Well, I'm taking a drive out here, and like the amount of gas and time that you spent finding these perfect.
It was a lot. I mean, it was fun, but it was also getting stressful because I knew that, you know, we had to get this done, you know, in this short window of time. You know, we knew that Omen was going to be a bit of a bigger beast to tackle. But we knew that. I knew that from the day that you guys said we want to do Omen. You said, I remember Yai going, it's epic. It's just got to be epic.
Yeah. But it gave us a glimpse of what production looks like with a film team. And we were always kind of like worried about how much something like that would cost. But I mean, obviously, you know, it took a lot of brainstorming and a lot of fact finding for getting grants and this and that, and yeah, it was a beast.
Everything that we've done throughout our entire musical career is always like, how do we level up? And so we were really happy that this team came together and you were able to build this team. And, you know, Carl Roeder, like, getting to work with a cinematographer of like that level, and the way that he captures light, and just seeing the way that you two work together it was really amazing, I think, for both Yai and I, like, to have that whole experience. And, you know, with Who I Am, choosing those two different locations, that was really neat because it was such a contrast, right, in your whole vision for this thing.
The whole idea was, with the two videos, I wanted to make them completely different from each other. So obviously Omen took a lot more initial thinking, and that was what I started thinking about first. And that was a good collaboration with you and I. With the other video, it was a little bit more. I had to think of simple idea, and I had to think of the contrast of the story of the song, right? So the story of the song presents both of you guys at the point where you meet in real life, and this was a real life story too. And so I didn't want to dramatize it. I wanted to just show the actual closeness, but sort of develop that. So you're teasing that as the video is going along, right? So we set it up where and actually I think the weather played really, it was good. It was in our favor because it made it look very surreal, the outdoor feeling of that and the coldness, but the warmth of you guys slowly but surely as the video goes getting together. But I think the first part of the video we wanted to show Yai more in probably lesser, happier times. And then that needed to develop with the presence of you. But then we wanted to contrast Yai with you in this wacky, bright green, you know, odd kind of angles that we had for you, and playful as well. At points we got a little too playful with the telephone and stuff like that. And it kind of looked like a kindergarten, you know, we never showed that in the video, but I don't think I even showed you a rough cut with that.
Oh my God, we should. And the rose petals.
The rose petals, it would have been okay, but it just didn't work. And I went so far to get those rose petals.
I know you guys put so much work into those. And you know, in watching back the footage, it was one of those really kind of introverted moments where I was like, wow, like I was captured.
I was trying to get you to be goofy almost, and then be sensual, you know, and very pensive at times.
Yeah.
And very happy at times, right? So that was sort of the goal, was to try to get you in different moods with a very minimal kind of setting, right? We had that was all we could get, really. You know, we tried to find other locations that would be that kind of, you know, very bright, poppy looking, but that seemed to work. And we didn't even use the props that we had put aside for that set. We just basically found, you know, the very minimal prop that we needed. And actually what was important was you, right, in that part, in that setting. So we didn't really need anything else for that. you know.
It was so fun.
Yeah, and Yayi's setting too. I thought it was amazing that we could get that spot, and that was difficult too, to get Zibby, because we had to ask if we could use the spot first of all, but then if we could have the lights off, because they're on all the time, and usually people will go there and use it as a photo shoot with the lights on, with the Edison bulbs hanging over. But we didn't want that. We wanted it to be off. So that's what cost money, was to just get the guys to be there to turn the lights off, which is the opposite. But because of that, we had full control over our own lighting, which was, very surreal. It sort of had a Bogart, a kind of Humphrey Bogart look, to it, and it was really sweet to have that area. And the wind played perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah, very cold.
It played perfect, but it seemed to shift where it came from the west all of a sudden, and it came over the water, and it got kind of chilly.
It was so cold.
Even for me, as it got pretty chilly.
You were like cranky at the end.
Yeah, it was like,
were you?
Yeah, I was.
I didn't get that feeling at all.
Yeah, it was a few moments where I felt like, okay, I think we got that one, but we were still, I think, 5 shots left to go.
Well, this is one of the things with working with Carl, right? Who is a brilliant cinematographer, but wow, he takes his time really getting the setting right and creating the look that we need to have, So he pushes the limit of time that we can shoot, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's always worth it.
100%.
And I feel like a policeman, as a director at that point with Carl. But that's fine, because, I get better than what I've asked for.
It worked out.
And I say that to anybody in this business, like if you're hiring somebody, you're going to get better than what you've,
100%.
than what you've planned yourself. We wanted to circle completely around you guys. But we ended up only going with a semicircle because we couldn't really have enough lighting to do the whole area. So we concentrated on the one area where we could project as well, images. So we kept it as a semicircle, and we just went back and forth and back and forth. And of course, when you're doing that, you're hoping that you can catch moments that go like this, as opposed to always in one direction. So that's sort of a chance that you take, as you're going along. But yeah, we needed to have some motion, throughout that portion. It didn't have to be fast motion. It just needed to be a very slight motion where we could see the background change. That's simple, It's just a simple thing that we felt that we needed to have.
Yeah, no, so I think overall, I really love how the video turned out. It's crazy that within being out for 1 month, it gained over 50,000 views.
Yeah.
And the amount of love and support for the video, I think, shows people saw the authenticity in it, and you were able to capture that.
It was interesting that you guys put that one out first, because they were both ready to go, right? But you guys put that one first, which surprised me at first, because I would have thought that you would have gone for the big or epic video, but I think that was a very good move on your part, It was a very love song, it introduces people to you as a couple to, an audience that probably doesn't know a little bit, about you guys, right?
It's one of those songs that we didn't really have at the time on our set list. And after we had released it, all of a sudden people were starting to request it.
So when we did, initially approach this project, we knew this is an 8-minute long song. So essentially it's going to be a mini movie. And the song itself is all about, climate change and the need for us to wake up as a human species and realize the things that are taking over our world. Yadi grew up with his grandfather who taught him all about the land and how things are changing and at the fast pace that the environment was starting to decline. And so these are things that you know, our elders knew, they carried those teachings, and so it was really important for us to show some of that, right? Yeah.
I think a lot of it is foretold over thousands of years, and I think it's just starting to come to light over the last 20, 30 years. So it was something that I think both of us kind of had constant dreams about, and even nightmares. And so when we started creating the song, it just happened to be at a time we were looking for a title song for the album itself, and we had none. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, we ended up going back to writing mode, and the song was just born, and we just kind of started singing to it and jamming out to it, and you know, it doesn't really have a structure except emotion.
So this was the challenge to me. It's exactly what you just said here. And now I'm going, wow, this is going to be fantastic. Carl, what are we going to do here? So we came up with so many different possibilities, right? We talked about going into the Laurentians to stay overnight at a resort or a retreat, and we would have had some participants from that place. It didn't happen at that time, so you know, I'm just trying to remember now how we came about trying to find a different location in a hurry.
Yes.
So we ended up, you know, I ended up driving all around Quebec mostly, because I figured that would be the place where there would be a nicer looking view, you know, of water and trees, and we needed to have some beauty shots. We needed to find somewhere where a canoe can be paddled with a peaceful looking lake, you know, using a drone. So of course, you know, some of the park areas were not allowed to use drones. But anyway, we eventually figured, well, let's just start bringing it in closer and closer, as opposed to driving to all these locations far away, which would have been time consuming and resource heavy as well. Mm-hmm. So we started thinking of the Morris Conservation Area, which is beautiful. I've shot there before, and it would have been very nice.
Yeah.
And then we said, well, let's try to even find something even closer. So we started looking around your house here in Cantley area along the river. And then finally Petrie Island Park. Perfect. It just ended up being perfect.
It was so perfect.
So that was one of the locations where we would have some of the women that are part of the community in there, in presence.
Or a lot of thought went into even casting female musicians and having females on the crew. And I think, you know, in our industry, it's so important, in the music industry, in the film industry, like, there needs to be more women, and women need to be on screen so that young girls know that
Absolutely.
They can do those things. They can be musicians, they can be filmmakers, they can be all of these things. And so not only was...
That's perfectly said, because, you know, it's true. I mean, the crew, we had some very young women that were just starting out in the film business, but they were fantastic. You know, they were part of our crew, and they really added an atmosphere to, it really gelled the crew, you know, on both videos. Having a bass player and a drummer, which are two very traditionally male dominated positions, with extreme interesting looks and design in their clothing, and set into a forest at night with a very intense light coming down and panning around. I think that created a whole different atmosphere too that you wouldn't necessarily see, and it really worked hard. It really worked well, I mean, to make the harder parts of the song, the rockier parts of the song, come together so beautifully. I wish we had more time to shoot in there, but we were running out of time a little bit, because we knew that we had a long day the next day too.
Yeah.
But we could have shot, you know, Aurora. You know, I feel like I never got enough of her, but yet she's a lot in the video.
Yeah.
Because she was so dynamic looking, you know.
Yeah. Alyssa too, as the bassist.
Absolutely.
She just rocked. You know, it was
She
so, we had fun, and I think that captures really, like, Omen, like, the 2 days that we were on set for that, it just felt like pure magic. Like we got perfect weather the day at Petrie Island.
Yeah.
That water was so still.
Oh,
and then
it was perfect for,
right?
for the opening shot of Omen.
It's
right?
absolutely perfect. And then we had Kristen Dennis, you know, who came out, dear friend of ours, makes my flutes. You know, just his presence and his look, and he just has this look almost of what you would picture an ancestor looks like.
Yeah.
You know, and then having our good friend John Weeks, you know, donate his canoe just for the filming of this. Just a beautiful piece of artwork, and it was amazing. Like seeing Kristen just get in it and just go out, we were like, oh my God, we hope he doesn't capsize. Like this was late October.
Yeah.
Like water was very cold at this point.
It was.
But it was just amazing to see how it all came together. And then Nina and Charlotte and their throat singing. It's just
amazing.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
The part, you know, I really think that the part when Nina comes in over with Yai's softer moments in the video, really, like when we were filming it, I had a big giant smile on my face and I'm going, yeah, Nina, yeah. Because she was really energetic and she was really getting into it. And Charlotte was too, you know, in a different way. But yeah, I think that they really add a lot of soul to it as well.
The daughter too.
Another element. Kristen, we ran out of time. We shot the very minimal amount of shots we could shoot with Kristen. They were all perfect, and I think they were all used.
Yes.
and then the light.
He's
the light
that
was dark.
stoic, just like perfect, bang. That's
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
And then I think ending the video the way that you chose to end it with Nevaeh.
Yeah.
That was just so special.
That's the future.
You know,
that's the future right there.
That was the future. That was the
hope.
The hope of after, you know, going through not death and destruction, but a lot of environmental climate, you know, disaster looking video, forest fires and tornadoes and floods and all that sort of thing, lightning. So to end with a positive note like that, and with youth and a youth female as well, brought it all back to what it should have been, you know. So there are many ways we could have ended it, but I think that was a very nice, it wasn't a slap in your face. It was just sort of, oh, that's sweet, you know, at the end.
Because I think that's it. Like, we're faced with so much destruction right now. And like everywhere we look, like everything is negative. The news is negative. Media's, you know, everything is being fired at us. Like, this is the end of times. This is the end of times. But I often think about the youth. Like, it's one thing, it's scary for us as grown-ups to be hearing this stuff all the time. It's like, imagine our kids, you know, what's going to be left for them. And so I think ending it on that with the hopefulness is like, we all got to hope. We all got to hope that we're going to come together and stuff is going to start to change. And
I don't think we were being self-righteous with it. I think it was just a real sort of subtle,
yes,
you know, a wink, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
I think we see it often, you know, with our work that we do in schools. It's like the youth are so alive and they're so awake. Like, they know so much more than we did when we were growing up. And I think the future's in pretty good hands.
I think having conversations in the end, you know, it is not about pointing fingers and laying blame. It's about having a conversation and having two parties acknowledge each other's situation, and coming up with solutions is so much easier when the other person is not feeling like they're being attacked.
Yeah.
You know, there's
both sides.
There's a time and a place for everything. Mm-hmm. There's certain people they're doing things, and that's fine and dandy. That's their role. Our role is to sit up on stage and have a conversation like we are right now, or even stand and play music and talk about the songs. And that's what this whole music video was about. Technical
things, challenges there were, you know, we had some drone, we had some handheld, we had, you know, different looks as far as lighting goes. We had a drone in the forest situation that was basically a light. It was just a flying light.
Yeah.
which was cool, which I've never done before, but it worked out really well.
It was very UFO.
Yeah, it was. And I kind of regret not taking shots of the actual drone.
Yeah.
It could have been a character.
Right.
But we had panning lights, and we had, and that was, I was inspired many years ago. I used to like a band called Talk Talk in the 80s, and they did a video called Life's What You Make It, and they shot it at night with you know, animals and insects in the forest, and I showed that to you, and I said, yeah, I would love to be able to do a video like that, because it just really brings out the energy. It combines nature and musicianship, you know, and in one area, in one fell swoop, if you want to call it.
Fans actually referenced Talk Talk after we aired the video.
Well, I don't know
So
if your
they-
fans did, but we had somebody on Facebook that
Our
made
fans
a
did
comment.
as well, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, because it didn't look like it in the end,
Yeah.
but just the inspiration of it.
Hints, yeah.
Oh.
Very dreamy.
That final scene though, there was something so magical about it, because I got in the water, and full disclosure, I was wearing big rubber boots under that huge red dress, because we
It
were
was
worried.
cold.
It was cold, so we knew we had one shot, because after that my dress was going to be all wet. But right as we geared up to do that shot, there were literally hundreds of birds that were flying behind me.
That's right.
And I didn't know, right? And like my mom was on set, and she's like, oh my God, there's hundreds of birds, you know? And it's like moments like that, like where nature just shows up, you know? And like, I think Mother Nature showed up so much in this video, like just the leaves and the colors in that time of the year. And, you know, we were out there, we were not cold at all. I think that day was like plus 20,
Yeah,
25 easily.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
beautiful. Yeah.
We were so lucky. And yeah, it was, there were so many beautiful moments.
At the last minute, we did a pickup shot in a park right near where Carl lives. He used to walk his dog there, and he said, "This is perfect." And at that time of year, the leaves were golden. They were falling. The floor was full of leaves already. The sun was shining through the trees. It was absolutely perfect. And I swear it was the last day like that. And so we got our crew in there, and we shot some beautiful shots of you playing that part that we missed. And I'm glad that we missed it the first day, because it looked way better in the park.
It was a bit of a challenge though, with the fact that it was a beautiful day, and there were so many people walking on that park.
Oh,
And
that's right.
it ended up being where we were lucky though that we didn't necessarily get interrupted, but just the preparation for the next scene is when it would be extended to an extra maybe 2 minutes for people to finish walking by.
Yeah.
If they weren't kind of curious to see what was happening, it would be kind of moseying by, but it ended up working out. It was such
But
a
we
beautiful day.
were also lucky that your performance was bang on, right? Like, so that sped up the day, right?
It was I think Omen is such a jammable song that it was very easy to play along with, and just seeing the screen made it very inspirational to put on the best game face possible.
Yeah, I love that little screen.
Such a small crew, but yet a very efficient crew.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
such a great vibe. Like, I think when we came off that 4 days, it was like this huge high, and then it was almost like, oh, it's over. You know, but it was a great ending to Omen and that body of work. And releasing these 2 music videos, it actually ended with Omen. You know, the whole cycle of the album, the touring, the singles, everything that went into the marketing and everything of this album, it's finally coming to an end. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You know, we really wanted to showcase a little bit behind the scenes of how important these 2 bodies of work were, and all of the love that went into putting these videos out into the world. We're really proud of what they became.
Everybody that was included, from the crew, from the camera crew to the sound crew, to the photographers, to the extra hands, the makeup makeup persons and all the women that were included. You know, it was such a treat to have everyone, and then the filming crew and even your parents that were there to feed everybody. You know, it was everybody. This was a team effort, and we just feel very fortunate that we get so much love and support. So thank you.
That is so well said, really, from both of these fantastic and fabulous people that I love so much. So, you know, to me it was an amazing experience to work on these and the other projects that we did throughout the year as well. So hopefully in the future we get to work again, you know. So thanks.
100%.
Thank you.